New kids keep things fresh. Remember Tori? Who? Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. We're here, episode 10, the Showdown, the final episode of the first season, hopefully, of Saved by the Bell reboot. On this episode, the basic storyline is that the gang is creating, or trying to create, a walkout at Bayside. A walkout in protest of the splitting of Bayside and Douglas once again. So the main thread that's happening at the top of this is that Zach's kid, is trying to get his dad to assist in this walkout in any way that he can, just to get an eye, to bring more eyes, so that he's there to sort of be the backup for them, so that they can have somebody who has some power to do something worth a damn at Bayside. So that's happening in the background, to the point he calls his mom in a very, very, very hilarious back and forth with Kelly about an old flame that we all know that broke my heart when I was a kid. I won't spoil it, but it's funny. It's definitely this one. I'm telling you again, these writers know they're Saved by the Bell shit, because they just sprinkle stuff in all day long. Um, the A story is the kids are trying to come up with a way to get a walkout, and to do so, they know that they need to have the cliques of the school sort of band together and walk out. Uh, Getting the cliques together proves to be a little bit harder than ever, but they do know that each clique now has Douglas kids and Bayside kids merged together and within that clique. So they know that they have a reason to want to do the walkout. Getting them to do so is a different bet. They have them all. They seem like they're all on the same page. They're talking to them. They have a whole conference room of the different cliques set up, and they all seem like they're down. But then they start talking, and how to do the protest becomes more of a problem than actually doing the protest. They're all in to do it. They just don't have the same way to doing it. So they start arguing. They get into a fight. They're going back and forth. While that's happening, Daisy and Aisha are also having that same tit for tat, sort of about what we talked about in the last episode, where Aisha seems to be looking out more for herself than for the greater good of all of Douglas. And so they're going back and forth, and Devontae sort of steps in and says for them to stop catfighting, and those two just tag up on him. With that thought, they have, okay, cool, we know that everybody's fighting, but if we can focus them on one person or one goal, that fighting gets focused, and they'll kind of go out and do this. But they don't know anybody who is mean enough or mean-spirited enough to get everyone to hate them. But Lexi does. And Lexi sacrifices herself to sort of be the sacrificial lamb to just rip a new a-hole into everybody. But also knowing that that's going to make her the pariah of the school once again. But she's doing it for the greater good. Daisy's made her softer inside. And so that's what she does. And she destroys them, to the point where they do all go and do the walkout. Before I get to that, Jesse and the teachers have had discussions to join the kids in the walkout. The teachers are so and so, but Jesse is adamant with it. Meanwhile, just to remind you, the principal is sort of on a hiding step down, because Jane, Miss Karen herself, has put out a sort of a warrant, if you will, a warning, and has gotten him suspended or put on leave for a couple of weeks. So he's there, but he's hiding. But the rest of the teachers are having a sort of a talk, and they sort of agree to it. I say all of that to say that there is a scene that happens a little bit later where Jesse and Slater comes in to apologize to Jesse, which I think is probably one of the most poignant parts of this entire series, and just rectifies a lot of the filthy things that AC Slater did to Jesse as a kid. And what he comes to realize is that all the things that she stood for, the no to styrofoam, no to a school-sanctioned bikini contest, which was a thing, she was against all of these things, all the things that she should be against of. She was right. She was the best of all six of all of the original six. And what has happened now is the school is now a bunch of Jesse Spanos, and they all have these beliefs and these thoughts and these these things that mean so much to their core, and they're willing to walk out for it. And he sees that, and he says that that is what we should have all been, and that he's apologizing to Jesse, which I think leads Jesse to kind of get more of those feelings that she has for Slater dug up a little bit. Also, happens in this episode, not important to the rest of the storyline, but probably important for future stuff. Jesse breaks up with Renee and is now a single woman. Slater, go get your girl. So, what happens at the protest? They're going through everything. Daisy's giving her speech, and then Zach does show up. But Zach continues to be trash. Zach shows up and just unveils a mural that he had made of just Douglas and Bayside together, saying that they'll be together, and that's it. And then he's about to leave. And Zach is disappointed. I mean, Mac is disappointed, and Daisy is like, "What the hell?" And so they go back in, and Daisy just questions Zach. He's like, "Why? Why? Why?" Just hits him with these whys over, just to kind of get to the layers of why Zach would do something so superficial to just put a mural out as opposed to do something that is of merit, of a weight. And Zach basically says it comes down to he just doesn't want to lose the power. He doesn't want to lose the ability to rerun, get reelected, and lose the power, lose the ability to do all of those things, which is very superficial. And he comes to realization that he should do more, and he does, to the detriment of himself probably. But he goes out and he says he's putting a 3-year moratorium hold on creating new schools, emerging new, or taking new schools, people out of schools and merging. He's basically keeping these schools together for the next 3 years, come hell or high water. And in doing so, his phone starts blowing up. People are like, he's got issues, he's being sued, everything's happening incorrectly to him. But he feels good because his kid's happy, these kids all are happy, and he's done at the very end of the day the correct thing. While this is happening, just as another side note that happens in this episode, Lexi does admit to Jamie that she has a crush on him, and he says, "Oh, cool, I dig you too." Her response, Lexi, I love everything this girl is doing. Lexi is fantastic on this show. Her response to him and just the eyebrow raise and the way she responds back, it's fucking brilliant. Come to the end, they both realize that they have a deep affection for each other, and they kiss. Right before that, Daisy and Aisha have a talk, and Aisha realizes that since the schools are staying together and she really does care for Jamie, she should try to go get her guy and fix things. She comes around the corner and sees Lexi and Jamie kissing. So much for that relationship, at least for now. There's probably going to be a triangle if this gets to continue on, but that's where we stand now, and I got to say that I'm Team Lexi. Well, that's the season in a nutshell. They all confine at the max and have a sort of a get together and say that, we're going to be friends forever. It's a cool little button at the end. I don't know if it's something they'll play with for the rest of the season next year. It's a cool little button about, hey, Matt gets a call or a text that says, hey, what's Corona? Dave's like, I don't know. It's like, well, you want to share a milkshake together? Well, that could be a problem. It would be interesting to see how COVID and Corona affects Bayside next year, considering that everybody's from different walks of life and could affect Devontae and Aisha more than it does Zach, and like that would be something to play with because there's so many different class levels in the school. But I don't know if that's the way to go. But I am excited to see whatever else happens in the show. I think this season did a great job of putting together different social groups, economic classes, and merging them all with a white privilege bubble, and then sprinkling in all the goodness and nostalgia of Saved by the Bell. I think this does a great job, and you got a fan in me, Peacock. That's it for this. What did you guys think about episode 10 and the season as a whole? Go ahead and leave your comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI, or you can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that is on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. We also have a sister show called You Can't Do That Anymore, which talks about classic films and does what if these films came out now and today? Could they do some of the things that they got away with, like American Beauty or Tropic Thunder? So check that out. Also, wherever podcasts are. One more time for the road. Go Bayside. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.